Today's video takes a look at one of the most amazing adventures ever created. This is Judges Guild's Dark Tower. Please stick around. I'm AZ Mountaineer. This is our channel, Old School Rules, a place for everyone that loves classic RPGs and anyone who'd like to learn more about them. Today's video continues our look at the products of Judges Guild with another of the adventures you had to purchase outside of the subscription service. This is from Jaquays, the classic Dark Tower. Hope you enjoy today's video. So Merry Christmas to all those who celebrate the holiday. I hope you have a wonderful day. I wanted to do a special video for the community today, and I wanted to pick one of my favorite adventures. This is from the ongoing look we're doing at Judges Guild, and this is from the iconic and amazing adventure designer Jaquays. This adventure was put out back in 1979. Here's the original cover. It's the first adventure put out by Judges Guild specifically under their license for advanced Dungeons & Dragons, and they mention in here that you'll need those rules. Interestingly, when they created this, the DMG, Dungeon Master's Guide, had not even been created yet. And so they only had the Monster Manual and the Player's Handbook. Nonetheless, they said this is for the new rule set. Created in 1979, Jaquays does the adventure design, does the artwork inside of here. Just an amazingly talented person who's left us a great legacy of both products that she created and ideas that we can use for ourselves. The original cost, so you can see on the cover there, was $5.50. This was an item specifically put out that you would have to buy from Judges Guild rather than getting as part of the monthly subscription. It was item number 88. You got a 70-page booklet with the maps included as part of the pages there. Taking a look here, it's big. 70 pages is much bigger than anything TSR put out in the early days of their module creation. We'll go through this sort of in sections. We've got background information. This involves a conflict between a deity, Mitra, of lawful goodness, and Set, of sort of chaotic evilness. There's a town, there's a dungeon, and then there are these ancient towers, and we'll kind of take a look at those in turn. And here you see all the different maps and charts and art that are spread throughout this book. Again, much sort of richer in terms of content than some of the stuff you would see early days from TSR. Okay, here's the forward. I just think this is kind of interesting. This is the first in our series for TSR's new Advanced D&D. We hope to enliven the campaigns and show people how they can use these rules to create their own adventures. Again, you need the new rule set, as it says, and at this point we only have the Monster Manual and the Player's Handbook. And again, you may have to change some of the stuff that's in here if you don't have access to those rules. So the first thing we want to look at here is background information, and there's quite a rich background to this story. You can see here quite large history. Just to frame this up, this is all stuff that's happened way before the players become involved. Okay, and I should have said at the outset, kind of settle in. This video might be a little longer than some of the typical ones because it's such a significant piece of work. Okay, here's our background. With the expansion of the Empire and the extension of her protection to others, less ominous trade routes, Red Moon Pass has become frequent and only by ignorant, wayward, and weather-driven travelers who fear the whim of the elements more than they dread the terror of old legend. Situated centrally in the pass, the tiny village of Mitra's Fist, which is our town setting, appears to be a haven from the many storms that stalk wayfarers in the high mountain reaches. Even so, the wise and knowing do their best to avoid Mitra's Fist, better known as Mitra's Curse. I don't know if it's Mitra or Mitra. I think it's Mitra. That's how I'm saying it. And that's a real, deity from ancient times, I think, both in sort of the Persian Empire of modern-day Iran and over into the area of India. Both had this deity as part of their pantheon, as far as I understand that. Not an expert in that area, but that's what I understand. Legend and church history relate that it is 15 centuries since the patriarch of lawfulness and goodness, Mitra, established a sanctuary in the mountain pass. So this is literally when Mitra was on Earth, where he was. And they would come there, people come there, seek, healing and blessings, and from there Mitra would reach out and fight the forces of chaos and evil. And the principal target of that chaos, evil conflict was Set, well known from Egyptian mythology, right? And they had this great conflict. Mitra destroyed the demon's mortal form, routed Set's army, but in that encounter, Mitra dies and then becomes, sort of ascends to godhood, deity status. And the pilgrims would come, right? And they would honor Mitra here. And they had a temple to Mitra. And then they built this tower over top of the palace where it was originally built, right? So then you had Mitra's tower. And then Set obviously did not forget the defeat and at whose hands he was defeated. And so wanted to attack that most holy, or the central place from which Mitra's memory stood. And so Set's followers then create a second tower here from which the evil spills forth into the community to destroy all the people that honor Mitra. And so there's supernatural forces, and there's these landslides come in, they bury the towers and the town and everything underneath. And the followers of Mitra move off to a different location, to the location of the actual battle, and sort of forget about this for a time. Then treasure seekers move in. They establish the little town of Mitra's Fist or Mitra's Curse here and begin digging through to find the buried town underneath and the towers in hopes of finding, riches and lost magic. And as treasure begins to be found, people begin to move in. And then again, there's this mysterious curse that occurs. And they say almost overnight, the people of the village became possessed, slayed the children, all the non-humans that were there, any followers of Mitra that were there. And these villagers have been living in this decaying village of Mitra's curse for 300 years, never aging. So now only occasional visitors come to the town, and for the most part it's avoided. There's better trading routes and so forth. Okay, and then that's some deep background just for you, for the DM to know, and you can trickle that out, in rumors to the players in the modern day. So here's some out of character, out of script background that Jaquays says you need to know as the referee. This is designed for use by players with experience in using high-level characters. The composition of the party should be diverse, balanced between fighters and mages, and at least a thief and a cleric. I think anytime you're going into ancient ruins to fight evil, you better have a cleric. 6 to 10 adventurers, 7th to 11th level, probably can make it through at least the dark, all the way to the dark tower, top of the dark tower. Some people lower level characters might survive if they have the right use of magic and they're particularly good, or maybe get some lucky breaks. It says, really, you can start this adventure anywhere on the terrain map, or even in the village of Mitra's Fist. But as a designer and player, I really think you want to start this in some village of your own, campaign. Give them some rumors, give them some legends about the Dark Tower. Both truth and half-truth, should be available for them. And then get them to go there, right? Whether some merchants that ask them to go, profit, some rich person who hires them to maybe go, maybe someone who likes Mitra hires you to go and try and recover an artifact that would be there, etc. And then this says, as the game master, as the referee, you probably noticed there's a lot of material in this booklet. It's 70 pages and 8.5 by 11 pages and full of text. And you really need to read it through, as they always say nowadays, and make sure you understand what's happening, not just at the beginning, but all the way through, so everything sort of holds together and makes sense. Gives some information about how they key, the encounters, the lettering and numbering system they use. There are personalities in here, and you need to know who those people are. The NPCs can be a powerful ally for the adventuring party, but also, depending on who they are, may be an important antagonist. We do want to make our monsters as individual as possible and make more interaction between the dungeon residents and adventurers, right? It's not just next room, attack, slay the monster, take the treasure, next room, repeat. That's not Jaquays style. And again, designed for AD&D. Jaquays thinks there's differences between the, at this point, probably Holmes Basic or OD&D that you were playing and the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons game. All right, more tips or background, right? There are factions, good and bad, are at play here. And so there'll be this kind of battle between forces of Mitra and forces of Set. And so that's going to be going on alongside, parallel to whatever the characters are doing. Be aware of the strength of your party. You may have to make encounters easier or harder based on that. There are some new monsters here. You need to make sure you understand those. And those in particular, the Lions of Mitra, which we'll talk about more in a second, which are these beings that are supporters of Mitra, and the Sons of Set, which, no surprise, are beings that support Set, both of which are sort of supernatural. Wandering monsters and how Jaquays handles those. The monsters that are wandering are monsters from the adventure, right? And so they're not extra. And so if you encounter, I don't think there's any bugbears here, but if you encounter a bugbear randomly walking down the hall, well, that's the bugbear, from a nearby room. It can't be in both places. And if you defeat it in one place, it won't be present in the other. And likewise, if you defeat it in its lair, it cannot then become a wandering monster later on because obviously it's already dead. You can't play all this at one time, no doubt about that. So make sure you give some breaks in between and have fun. If you have questions, reach out to, the designer says reach out to me directly and ask me. Okay, some other footnotes. There's a reduction spell, which is the reverse of the enlarged spell. And Jaquays says, in particular, it can be cast on people wearing armor, and it will basically crush them if they don't shed their armor, which is a clever tactic. Gives you the abbreviations they use when they stat things: strength, intelligence, wisdom, dexterity, constitution, charisma, hit points, armor class, hit dice. And that's kind of the order and then, the abbreviations they'll use. In terms of food and other things, if you find a person, a humanoid, in lair, you can assume that they have food and water, which of course then the party might want to take. If you encounter clerics or magic users, they'll have the spell components they need on them for any spells or prayers that they have the ability to cast, which of course then your characters could take from them. And then again, the annotation about, when something gets killed, make sure it doesn't appear later as a wandering monster. Okay. The major theme, good versus evil, Set versus Mitra. And if you happen to allow or have a player character aligned with one of those deities, they'll get bonuses. And anyone who is aligned with them in the game as an NPC gets bonuses. Clerics of Mitra are always lawful good. +1 on all attack, defense, magical, and physical when against any creature that's aligned with Set, which could be minions of Set, sons of Set, snakes, and you get bonus rolls on all traps in the Dark Tower. Clerics of Set will be evil. No bonuses on their attacks, but they get certain powers over snakes. First level get a snake charm spell. Third level get a speak with snakes ability. Fifth level sticks to snakes, and seventh level conjure snakes. And they give a little bit more detail about that, but that's a extra bonus. It reminds me in second edition, when they had all those flat books. Later on, they had this idea that you could, clerics, right, aligned with certain deities, got certain extra abilities, access to special spells, and so forth. And so there's a little bit of that design concept here early on. Now let's talk about special, I guess there's a lot. Special magic items that will be appeared in here. There are a number of artifacts and unique items tied to this adventure. There are 3 soul gems, one of law, one of chaos, and one of neutrality. If you pick this up and you're the right alignment, it will plunk itself right up in the middle of your forehead. I assume you could still see it. It doesn't say whether it sort of absorbs under the skin or not. And they give you huge bonuses. So the lawful good one, powers of resurrection, detect evil, no alignment, continual light, access a ring of protection +3, cures serious wounds twice a day, spell turning, improvision, and double powered protection from evil. Half of those things are functioning all the time. The Chaos Gem will absorb hit points. You can strike as a specter, and when you make contact, you can suck hit points out of the other character into yourself, boosting your hit points up to a maximum of 150% of where you started. And as you get low level, this thing can sort of take over for you and basically will reach out and suck the life out of any beings nearby to try and give you a boost of hit points so you won't die. Gives you the ability to cast a no alignment spell, a +2 ring of protection, improvision, spell turning, and then the ability to cast darkness in a 5-foot radius. So that's kind of good. And then finally, we've got the neutral gem, and its goal is to destroy the other 2 gems. And it takes in the power, drains value from gems, jewelry, and coins, basically turns, say, an emerald into just cheap, worthless glass. It drains the value out of your coins, like gold, and just leaves them being basically luds that are worthless, chunks of metal. And regenerates hit points. 200 gold pieces absorbed gives a hit point, and it will drain out the value of what's carried on your person to keep you, as the person with the gem in your head, alive. Also has powers: detect good and evil, negate light or dark, +3 ring of protection, spell turning, no alignment, ESP, improvision, and a laser beam. And if it gets close to one of the other gems, it will zap it and attempt to destroy it. It will do 5 to 40 points of damage to the host of the gem, and it's like a death ray, and you have to make a save, or the gem itself might shatter and be destroyed. So bad stuff. And finally, there's some other items. So there's a ring called Avarkus's Ring. It's green, carved out of green emerald. Looks like a serpent. It's chaotic evil, and it drains hit point every turn from anyone who isn't evil alignment. So if you're neutral or good, it's draining a hit point every turn, and it lets you get by certain evil creatures in the dungeon if you're wearing it. Then we have artifacts on the good side, and Mitra has 3 of these. Mitra's Favor, I think it's 3, is a ring. Looks like a head of a lion on there. Gives you protection from evil spell, and these things combine together, and if it combines with the other ones, then you get extra bonuses. And there's a spirit attached to it, one of these lions of Mitra, who can, once you figure out the name, you can summon that person, that spirit forth. He'll fight for you and so forth, and heal you. The girding of Mitra, which is the lion's belt, has a lion face at the front of the belt. This is a relic. It was worn by Mitra when he was on the earth. Radiates 15-foot wide radius of protection from evil spell at all times. And if you have the ring, then you also get an anti-magic shell. I'm sorry, if you get the amulet, it gives you an anti-magic shell that you can wear as well. And if you add the ring and the amulet and the belt, then the anti-magic shell gets even bigger, out to a 20-foot radius, and any evil creature that comes within 20 feet suffers 1 to 8 points of damage every round they're that close together. And if you have all 3 artifacts, then the ring can shoot out a disintegration ray, only effective against undead, and try to zap them into nothingness. And again, this one is connected to a spirit, one of the lions of Mitra, that you can summon forth. Here's the ring, there's the belt, and then here is the lion amulet. And so if you have it just by itself, it's +1 to your attack and defenses against magic or in melee, etc. If you wear the ring, any undead of 3 hit dice or less can be crumbled to dust upon physical contact. And you can also combine it with the belt. We talked about that earlier, about how it put out the magic shell. And again, it's connected to one of the lions of Mitra, these cosmic supernatural beings that you can summon forth, who will assist you, heal you, fight for you, and so forth. And if you figure out how to do that, you can call them back over and over throughout the days and weeks of this adventure. Wandering Monsters, we just have a chart here. I just wanted to share you the Jaquays design thought. Skeletons, particular NPCs or characters or monsters that you might encounter, and we'll see here there's going to be a dungeon that these things appear on. Here's a little bit of description about them, summarized so you don't have to flip, as she said, through the pages. You can get a little bit of a summary here about what the wandering monster is doing and what they might be doing that's causing them to wander. Okay, and then we have, and I'll pop myself out of the way, the Lions of Mitra, and they're statted up here, and they're quite potent allies if you summon them. They've got magic armor, magic weapons, great stats. They also can detect evil, lay on hands like a paladin, protect your party, help your party fight obviously against chaotic evil creatures, undead creatures, etc. And again, now when they disappear, all their items go with them, so the characters are not going to be empowered by gaining these magic items, but certainly they can be a big help, assuming you're a good aligned party. If you're not a good aligned party, you might be more interested in summoning the Sons of Set, and there's two versions of this. There's the Chosen and the Lesser Sons, but again, evil offspring of Set, and I think we have a little bit of a drawing here of the three-headed version. And this was the interesting thing about the Sons of Set. They don't all sort of look like male or female, paladins in shining armor. Instead, you get these modifications: snake body, human torso, multiple heads, cobra head, hydra head, bat wings, cyclop eyes, multiple arms, giant size, glowing eyes, lizard legs, dragon head, insect eyes, horns, crocodile head, lizard head, tail. And then if you have multiple heads, you roll to see what the different heads would be, etc. Whoops, etc., etc., etc. All right. And then in terms of background, last piece of background here is the map, sort of the wilderness map of the area. Again, you could place this in your home campaign. Mitra's Fist is here right in the middle of this valley between various high mountains, and you could come from obviously the north or the south of that. That's our first, I get way over. Now we're going to look at the village of Mitra's Fist, or Mitra's Curse. It's just a little, collection of buildings. As I mentioned in the background, your characters might not know this, but you as the referee know that these people have all been here for a few hundred years, and they were responsible for the cleansing of the village of all children, all good aligned people, etc., which kind of tells you indirectly they're all kind of evil, aligned with Set, and so forth. We've got some different people you can encounter along there, and then we stat out and tell us about what's in each of the little buildings, including this guy, Avacris the Merchant, who is sort of one of the leaders of this village. And the thing you'll notice when you look at the map is it's just a very tiny village, few buildings, including a place where you could stay. And then the ruins of towers. At the north side of this map is Mitra's Tower. At the south side of this map is where you could encounter the Tower of Set. All right, so next we have the Dark Tower Dungeon. There's a multi-layered dungeon, and here's the cutaway view from the side to show you. If you look what's going across there, right, and it's leveled 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those are dungeon levels, which we'll see here drawn in a second, which cross over into and encounter the towers, right? Set Tower on the left of this map and Mitra's Tower on the right. And so it's on certain dungeon levels you can get connectivity into the towers. Here's level 1 of the dungeon, and this is sort of what it looks like. And you'll see, very interesting dungeon, the kind of thing that Jaquays is famous for. There's more than one entrance. There's lots of ways to go up and down between levels, etc. So all kinds of stuff that you would expect here. We've got these natural caverns to the north, so you're going to get low-level monsters like kobolds and rats. You're going to get undead, cultists, teleportation gates, traps, and some interesting characters along the way. Here we go down to level 2 of the dungeon, a little more compact. And here we get more of the same. We've got some really interesting encounters. Some, that Jaquays is very creative in trying to give you something, interesting and new. More cultists and evil set stuff is occurring here on the second level of the dungeon. Here's the third level of the dungeon. And here again, we have more of the evil minions of Set, undead and things like that. And interestingly to me, I think we get one of Jaquays' favorite things, which are these sort of factions. And here is Half-Rung Hell Eyes. And while Half-Rung is a servant of Set, as you might imagine in a chaotic evil group, there is tension between different people in there. And, Half-Rung is keenly focused on not letting other minions of Set gain too much power or prominence within their community. And finally, we have here level 4 of the dungeon itself. This final layer of the dungeon has an interesting balance. You've got some lawful good people down here. You've got more of the evil minions of Set. You've got a dragon and a giant, and some other interesting encounters down here on the final layer of this dungeon. And then finally, once you get all the way down in the dungeon, then you go up into the towers. You access the towers, as I said, on the 4th layer of the dungeon. Then you go back up, trying to reach the top of each of those towers. Mitra's tower, obviously devoted to Mitra and forces of lawful good in theory, and Set clearly devoted to evil. And they have the encounter tables here. Most of those, levels you saw correspond to dungeon, but there's a few extra ones which they'll show here. And so again, this is the trip up in Mitra's tower, and it is mostly peopled by a few creatures, lawful good tendencies, and a lot of traps and interesting encounters. Not a lot of combat as you work your way up through Mitra's tower, and then you come over here and you end up in Set's tower, and definitely filled with a lot of evil encounters as well as undead and traps. And if you work your way all the way up to the top, you are rewarded by encountering some of the sons of Set who are particularly powerful, and then eventually you also get to encounter the evil Lich that has put some wards and traps and different things throughout this tower at the very end. So a really, really leveled up set of encounters if you try to fight your way up to the top of Set's tower. But again, I think if you're good aligned characters, that's probably what you're here for, right? Is the battle of good versus evil. So hopefully you have been up the tower of Mitra first. Hopefully you have encountered along the way and managed to find those artifacts that are going to really boost up the power of your fighting team. And here's a cool shield that has a very subtle design of some piece of the dungeon in here as a clue, I think. And then the last thing I wanted to do was take a look at some of the artwork that's found throughout this. You get different pictures of characters, you get pictures of different things you might see in a room, sort of like the booklets that they would do, but only, there's only a few of those in here. And then you also get some pictures of some random people there in the town, and a couple of encounters you might have. Verindi, the Eater of Corpses, and Kona, the Dissenter. That's one of the sons of Set that you can encounter in the tower. And this is just the back page of what you would see in the store, if you'd found this and looked it up. An ancient evil has overtaken a once holy shrine. Sleepy Mountain Hamlet becomes a focal point for mysterious disappearances and stranger legends of what lurks beneath the village. And off you go to begin your quest for the Dark Tower. Now, if you're curious about this, like I said, one of the most famous adventures ever, really. I think if you really want to understand the history of D&D back in the 70s, 80s era, like this is from 1979. This is the original cover. You can see, if you can make it out, the top left corner says it's for Advanced D&D and put out by Goodman Games. It's item number 88 in their catalog. Remade for 3E, remade here for with a 5E version. Goodman Games did a reprint, and you could get this box set. It has the books in there for you as well. Like I said, one of the most iconic adventures they ever put out from Judges Guild. They have a similar one for Caverns of Thracia, which is another one of Jaquays' amazing early creations. We'll take a look at that, obviously, when we get to it as well. That's our look at Dark Tower, one of Judges Guild's greatest products. I mean, I think if there's a short list of what you should collect from Judges Guild, Dark Tower and Caverns of Thracia Adventures from Jaquays would be on there, on my short list for sure. And then City State of the Invincible Overlord and the Wilderness area, the campaign setting around that. To me, those are like 5-star A+ products that anyone from any era would benefit and enjoy. Hope you enjoyed today's special holiday video. I hope you're enjoying our channel, and I hope you're subscribed. If you have friends who might enjoy this content, please send them our way. Hopefully they'll be subscribers as well. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great holiday season. And until next time, my friends, keep rolling 20s.